Hey y'all, welcome back. So today's video was suggested by my friend Erin. What is my self-care routine and my mindset being creative? So the creative process for me is really heavy on being present. If I have something on my mind, if I'm in a bad mood, I'm just not going to create. I'm not going to make myself create. There are instances, of course, when I've had to, like if you're acting in a show, regardless of your day, you got to do your role. You're a character. You know what I mean? But when I am my work and I'm putting so much of myself into it, I don't force myself to do something when I'm not in the best headspace or in the best mood, because it always shows. I'm taking pictures, it's gonna show up. So I choose not to do that. I treat creating as conquering a goal. It's a process that I have to go to. I have to go from start to finish. And I think of it kind of like a race where I have to meet certain markers. I have to keep trying. I have to keep experimenting and evolving. And that's something that took me a while to get into, right? So if I was getting frustrated and something wasn't turning out as I wanted to, I would pack it up, girl. It would be all over for me. I'm like, I'm not in the mood. This is not happening. But you can't quit there. You got to push through. That's something that took me a while to do. When I get frustrated, when I'm not good at something immediately, I kind of like shut down and get upset about it. But I have to think of the end goal, right? If I'm not getting the picture, if I'm not getting the vibes that I want to create, then I haven't met my goal. I have to keep going. There are a few things that consistently can help us all as we create. And so for me, that is knowing yourself, setting goals, being an individual, and the maintenance aspect of the creative process. For me, I am anal. I know that about myself. Sometimes it drives me nuts how anal I'll be, and sometimes I give up because I am anal. But that is a part of my personality. That is a part of who I am as a creative, and so I kind of just welcome it. I mentioned that I was anal because in that details are very important to me. So in the past, sometimes if I'm like, oh, I moved my camera a few inches over and now if I cut, it's going to be different. Who cares? It's not a big deal. And then I go to edit and I created the video and I'm like, it's driving me nuts. It's driving me nuts that the jump cut shifts all the way to the left. Like it will drive me crazy. And so I would just let that go. But recently I've known, okay, you have to take the time and make sure that it is to the best of your abilities that you can create by yourself, because it's going to drive you crazy. Then you're going to sit there and complain the whole time you're editing. You're going to sit there and regret that you did it this way, even when you put it out. Like, it's not worth it for me, all that I feel when I put something out and it's not the best of my ability. I've just known, regardless of how annoying that is, like constantly having to go back and fix and edit, it is always, always, always best to do all that you can and edit as you go rather than try to fix that later. Like I said, something about moving 6 inches to the left, you can't really fix that afterwards. You can, but then you're going to be really zoomed in and then the other parts are going to be, you know, in frame. It's just too much. It is too much. I used to resist that because it was so much extra effort, but as I said, I just know that's where my standards are. You know, you can speak something and not actually do it, but I need to meet myself where I am in my head. I think it's very important to set goals. Everybody is different. Some people are like, I want to make sure that I get out content at least like 5 times a week, or, you know, whatever. However you do that. For me, I do not like to quantify nor contain my creativity. So that means I'm not telling myself that I'm going to create every other day. I'm just not going to do it. And for me, that lessens the authenticity in which I am trying to create, because then it's like, it doesn't matter if this is like relevant or if it's organic or whatever. You said that you were going to post every other day and you're going to do that. I went through that before, and you know what you get out of that? Trash. At least that's what I produce when I tell myself those things. It just does not move me to schedule that way. I like to like flow with it. And so sometimes that can be, if I'm going to put on makeup today, that means I'm going to do 3 different things. Sometimes I will create 2 or 3 things in one day and I'll space it out that way. Or like recently I got inspiration on like a Tuesday and then I worked 3 days on it and a Friday. So that was my goal. Like, this is your inspiration. You have this idea to create this video. So you need to learn you need to learn this dance, you need to organize how you're going to do the different scenes. You're going to keep practicing throughout those days, and then you're going to edit, and then that third day is when you're going to produce and output that material. And so that's how I usually go throughout my weeks. It's usually like bigger projects, like I said, that'll take those 3-day spans where I'm like, this is your focus for these next few days, or it'll just come and go. Like, I kind of feel like doing a portrait, I kind of like feel like doing an outfit post right now, and I'll make sure that it gets done. This is one of the hardest things, but it's so important that we learn this about who we are, and who we are is one of a kind, right? There's not another Sydney Nichelle. There just isn't. And there's not another you that's out there. That is what you have to listen to the most when you create. I typically am listening to music while I'm developing an idea or when I'm working. I do not want to see other self-portrait artists. I don't want to see art in general, because then I begin to question myself. I bring a magnifying glass to my own work, and it's like, if you had this idea, if you developed it, it's there for a reason. So keep going. If it's not enough, if you're like, oh, this person does spectacle and da-da-da-da, which you should not be comparing yourself to, then maybe part of that is really like, I'm not doing as much as I could do. You know within yourself that there is some leeway, there's a gap in what you could do. And so you need to take yourself to that place, like I said, meeting your own standards and expectations. It's always best when you listen to the voice within you, even if you feel like, oh, it's weird, people aren't gonna get it. It doesn't matter. Do you get it? Do you have a message? Do you have an intention behind it? That is what is the most important. I used to feel like, oh, I'm so weird, or this is different than what's gonna get the likes that I want to get. This isn't me saying like, girl, I've always been it, I've always known it. No, this has taken time for me to feel like, you know, what I am and what I love is enough and more than enough. I just listen to that thing within me that's like, listen, girl, this could not be mainstream, but you know, it is a reflection of you, and it's what you want to put out there. And listen, half the time when I'm like, I don't know if the girls are gonna get this, they do, okay? They do. It's just how we perceive our own selves and the negative self-talk that we can bring to the creative process. Lastly, I want to talk about maintenance. So maintaining the creative process, maintaining the flow within you. So learning is a process, it's a journey, and obtaining that knowledge is a pursuit, right? You have to keep asking questions, getting those questions answered, and shaping what you've learned into a new understanding. So that's how I really take the creative process, even when I have those like moments where I'm like, great. That was something, you know, when I'm impressed with myself, when I have those moments where I'm like, I love this, I'm so proud of myself, then I say, okay, why are you proud of yourself? What worked? What was maybe different in you preparing to, you know, shoot this, and why you believe that you are successful? Other times you can be inspired by yourself, right? I'm constantly inspired by myself because I'm like, this was cool, but you know what would have been really cool? Alternatively, if I did this, or next time I can do this. And knowing that when I struggled, when I talked about earlier, keep pushing through, keep trying, knowing that like when I struggled about something while I was shooting, I can say, okay, next time, absolutely don't do that. Go ahead and bring your extra light so you have a balance of light. Bring, you know, do this, this, and that. You don't want to be doing that every time. So, you know, when you have those struggle moments and the shoot is over and you're like, oh girl, next time when you're shooting, you bring those experiences with you. Never ever feel like you have to. We should never do things out of obligation. That's how I treat my creativity. It will never be an obligation for me. It just is who I am. And you know, I go through the periods where it's like I don't want to show my creativity because I am, you know, my work. There's times where I'm like, I don't even know, it's not happening, you know what I mean? And I listen to that. And other ways I tend to myself in areas where it's like, you know, you haven't moved your body in a while, maybe you should dance or work out or do some yoga, or you know, explore the other parts of me that are creative that have nothing to do with like content creation, you know what I mean? And I listen to those parts of me, and so that's a big thing in knowing yourself as well. Is just listening to yourself, your mind, your body, and your soul. So I hope that answers some questions on what I go through creating. Let me know what you guys do with creating and what you think is imperative to the creative process. And I'll be back next Wednesday with another video.